Hello and welcome to our final housing talks hosted by the WSU Advice Centre. This session will be focusing on moving out of your accommodation. So what will we cover in today's presentation? We'll go over getting ready to move out, what you need to know and what you need to do in the lead up to moving out. Your deposit, so any potential deductions, disputes and more, and how the Advice Centre can support you with all of this. So just before we start, meet the Advice Centre team. So we're a team of 4 full-time professionally trained staff members. We have 3 welfare advisors, Vaz, Bianca and Charlotte, and an Advice Centre manager, Minaz. So if you do come to us for support, it'll be one of our faces who'll pick up your query and help you. Okay, so what should you do in the lead up to moving out? So there's certain things you need to make sure you do before you return your keys to help that moving out run more successfully. So firstly, check your inventory. So when you moved into the property, a detailed inventory should have been taken to document the condition of the property at that time. Now that's especially important because they will use that as a comparison when you move out. So they will do a checkout inspection and compare the inventory to how the property is now. So it is important that you check the inventory, make sure you put everything back to how it was. If you've moved furniture around, put that back. If you do notice any damages that weren't in that inventory, then make sure that you let your letting agent know about those as soon as possible. So while you're doing this, make sure you take photographs and videos. So as I've said, they will use that inventory as a comparison, and if they do notice any damages, they could deduct from your deposit. So it's really important that you take photos and videos to prove and evidence how the property was on the day you moved out, and these might come in handy later down the line if you do need to dispute a deduction. So take meter readings, especially if you're in a property where your rent, does not include your utility bills and you have to pay these independently. It's also really important to take photos of the meter readings because you will need to supply these to the utility companies to arrange cut off of your utilities and arrange that final bill. And finally, your rubbish. So just bear in mind that when you move out, you might have a lot of rubbish that has built up whilst you've been living at the accommodation, and there's only so much that you can put in the bin. And in Coventry and the surrounding areas, they will only take what is actually in the bin. They won't take the bags that are at the side. So in the weeks leading up, make sure you plan to put your rubbish out, each week and to space it out over the weeks so that you've got time to do that. Okay, so your deposit. So how does this link to your deposit? So when you moved into the accommodation, you should have paid a deposit of 5 weeks' rent, and this should have been protected within a government approved scheme. You should have got confirmation that it has been protected within 30 days of you paying that. Now, at the end of the tenancy, your landlord or letting agent will complete a checkout inspection. So they will go over the property and compare it to the inventory and basically document the condition that the property is in that time. While they're doing this, if they identify any possible damages, they may identify some deductions that need to be made from your deposit for any repairs that need to be carried out. So possible deductions that they can make from the deposit can include any unpaid rent that's remaining, any damage to property and furnishings that needs to be repaired. So for example, if a carpet needs replacing or furniture needs repaired, they can invoice you for the charge of that. Any unpaid bills, especially utility bills, any cleaning fees and rubbish removal. So if the property is in need of a full end of tenancy clean, and if you leave rubbish in the property, they can charge you to dispose of that. And also if any replacement keys are needed. If no deductions are identified or you agree with the deductions made, then it's a smooth process and you can expect your deposit to be returned to you within 10 days. If, however, you would like to dispute some of the possible deductions made, then you will need to go through your deposit protection scheme. So as I mentioned previously, your deposit should have been protected under one of 3 government schemes. So that's the Deposit Protection Service, My Deposits, and the Tenancy Deposit Scheme. Now they all have their own process that you use to dispute deductions. So it's disputed through an independent company rather than directly with the landlord. If you think your deposit hasn't been protected, then it's really important that you get some professional support with that. So get in touch with the advice centre and we can pick you up and help you with how to dispute those deductions and how to claim compensation from the non-protection of the deposit. So as I've said, to dispute any deductions, you'll need to raise the dispute through your government schemes process. So you can find this on their website. It's really important to note that this needs to be done within 3 months of moving out. So make sure you're wary of that time frame and you stick to that time frame. It's also important that you have evidence to support your dispute. So this is when those photographs and videos come in handy. So you can prove that that damage wasn't there when you moved out. You can document that and that'll make your dispute strong. Okay, so just to summarise, so when you move out, it's really important that you check the property against the inventory. So photograph everything, including meter readings, and leave it clean. This will reduce the chance of getting any deductions to your deposit, and it will benefit you if you do need to dispute any deductions because you have that photographic evidence that that damage wasn't present at the time. So if you do want to dispute anything, then it has to go through your deposit scheme, and it's really important to be wary that you have to do this within 3 months of moving out. And finally, if you do need help, contact the advice centre if you have any questions or any issues arise while you are moving out. It is really important that you contact us as soon as you can, because the sooner you contact us, the more we can help and the more options that are available to you. So how can the Advice Centre support you with this? So we are part of the Students' Union, which means we're completely independent from the university, and we can offer independent advice, support and representation on any issues affecting your student experience. We are completely impartial, confidential, professional, and we are free of charge. We are also an information and empowerment service, so when you do come to us, we will give you all the information on all of the options available to you and empower you to make a choice that you feel is in your best interests. Now, there's 2 ways that we can help with housing specifically. So on our website, we have a range of self-help information and resources such as a moving out checklist that you can use when you are moving out. And you can see that on the Warwick SU website as it shows in the screenshot. If you do want to get in touch to speak to an advisor and have a bit more specific and personal advice, then we ask students to complete our advice service inquiry form, which again you can access on the SU website under help and support, and an advisor will get back to you within 48 hours. Thank you for listening and good luck with your moving out journey.